Who is Connie Shaw? She says,
I am no different from you. We are each embodiments of love who have a divine purpose or mission, which is to live in the heart and to extend that love.
Connie's many roles in fulfilling her life purpose include those of healing facilitator, international speaker, empowerment coach, and communication specialist. She says about the quantum field of physics that,
through dropping into the heart space, we can each learn to collapse the waveform of our persistently held, unconscious beliefs in lack, limitation, unworthiness, or illness. The resulting shift in consciousness provides clarity, confidence, and purpose. This energetic transmission helps to transform human consciousness and to return suffering humanity to the awareness of our true nature as love, to the inner joy of the Sacred Heart. When we choose to live in the heart, we discover that not only are miracles frequent, but they are our natural birthright. As you experience the gaze and open to the vastness of being within you, the veil of unconsciousness will lift, and others will be magnetically drawn to the power of your peace and joy.
The first thing that I experienced was very surprising to me. I felt the energy of the gaze embark upon me, and the next thing I noticed was the being of my mother, who passed away when I was 25. Her being came through the gaze. It was very profound, and it surprised me, and I was able to learn some things about my mother and I through those moments of the gaze, at the beginning of that gaze.
Miracles are something I've been involved with for years, so nothing surprises me in life. But this one did. This one did. Because it was so seamless and so untheatrical that I didn't realize till I got home that night that something had actually happened.
I've been thinking about the gazing and the phenomenon of what's going on, and there's a term that's darshan, and that's a Hindu term for sight of the Lord. The idea that a divine personage can be present, and seeing this person who is self-realized with a conscious connection to their higher self can be beneficial. Healings can happen due to the oneness of all beings, being in proximity of someone who understands their true self. All types of grace and blessings can occur.
The next thing that happened then was I felt the gaze come, the energy come into my heart. And when it entered through and came into my heart, I felt that there was a block because it was overwhelming, because the feeling of the energy of the gaze felt so much like love that it was overwhelming. I couldn't stand it, to be truthful. And so I had many tears that first gaze, and I was okay with that.
So what came up after she intently looked into my eyes was something that I remembered from my past when I was about 12 in regards to my father. And for some reason or other, I was under the impression that that was real. And at that point, after she gazed at me, it all came back. And I was having great difficulties all these years with fear. I didn't want to be alone in a house at night that I didn't know. I didn't want to go on a holiday alone because I wasn't comfortable. I didn't even want to be out in the wilds because I might meet a bear. I could think of all these things to be afraid of.
I felt very uplifted, and I felt as though I was getting a shot of love. I don't know how else to explain that, other than if you said, oh, being in a very it felt like a very sacred presence, like being touched in a very deeply loving way. That's was my predominant experience.
In my experience with the gazing with Connie Shaw, very beautiful, very loving experience. It was like being with an angel and a very spiritual being, just receiving extreme amounts of love and joy at the same time, and very blissful, kind of like. And I could feel like a release of energy from the back of my spine.
That evening, I just basically wanted to go home and relax and not focus on anything because of just the, I don't know if euphoric is the state, but it's the state that I get after I meditate and just want to stay in that bliss and joy. That takes me to the next day, where after Matrix, I just am walking around smiling the whole time. My work flows a lot smoother. I'm less distracted by my mind chatter. The little voice is almost non-existent. Again, that's really what I want to keep with me all the time.
Beyond that night, I felt that my heart was more easily opened. There have been moments where I've been under stress or had maybe some conflict, and I felt perhaps it closing again, truthfully, but I've been able to go back and re-experience the gaze with Connie. I don't even have to close my eyes. I will just remember what that felt like, and right away my heart opens.
One of the wonderful things about this is that I feel in my spiritual expansion like I'm on super dial, you know, on the phone. It's just like going so rapidly. The change is magnificent. When I've walked away from both of these experiences, it's like feeling that I am so in heart consciousness that this is what was intended for us to live all of our lives by. Everything's still happening around me. It's all the same, but I'm the one that's in this changed space now.
The second gaze was different. Again, I think many experiences can happen for different people. The second gaze I had, I stood and I breathed, and I felt the energy of the gaze come into me immediately, came right into my heart. This time it felt like it built up momentum, and then it pushed through into my pelvis, down my legs, into my arms. Enormous warmth in my torso, and then not as warm in my legs and arms. It felt very healing. I felt the energy of the gaze in the organs of my body, of my pelvis. And Connie moved on with the gaze, and I just kind of absorbed it and wanted her to come right back right away. When she did return, it was lovely, but I'd already been touched by it the first time, and so I simply just was with that.
But now I was to come home after spending a sleepless night the night before, completely all night in terror because I was alone in a house I didn't know. But when I came home from the gazing, I went through a process in mind which was, this was never true. What I thought was never really true. So I had been going under this impression all these years, and it's not so. Every time I would wake up in the night, I would know that God was with me, but I would go through the same process. This was never true, it's not true now, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Well, I slept, woke up a few times, but slept all night, no fear, no nothing. And the next morning I woke up and I was raring to go. You know, I wanted to get up, and it was just after 5 o'clock, and listen to the birds and see the bunnies that were hopping around here and the flowers. It was just a total change of feeling, and I was so grateful for it.
And I did feel like I had an experience of seeing the Divine Mother aspect of God in Connie the other night when I experienced the quantum gazing. That there was an impersonal being there with motherly love, gazing out, and when her eyes met mine, I didn't see Connie. I saw an open, loving, motherly figure with a selfless look in her eyes, and that's really the goal.
This time there was almost like an energy, like a light energy, and from that energy it was like Shaktipat. And the next day it seemed as if it was even stronger than the night before. So I noticed that it also stayed with me for a good deal of time too, and now it just seems like it's a regular part of my experience.
I just have to say it was just like receiving Shaktipat from a spiritual master. And when Connie would look at me, I just felt immense love and joy and lots of happiness. And perhaps that's what my spirit needs, a little bit of happiness and joy.
I also give what's called the oneness blessing. And as I've been giving the oneness blessing to yoga students, I'm a yoga teacher, I've noticed that the oneness blessing comes in and both are working at the same time. So in conjunction with the oneness blessing is the gaze, the loving energy of the gaze. And it's been pretty incredible, really wonderful.
And what I have experienced with in this week, now it's just kind of the end of the week, is that I have had no headaches. I have had no fatigue. There still is a little bit of mixing up of words and things, but it's extremely better. And I can drive now. I couldn't drive, I hadn't been driving for the last couple weeks since I got the additional concussion. And so I'm just in full expectation that this head injury is completing its healing in all ways. So I'm very, very happy about that.